I guess we have just started with the discussion of collection API, right? Yes, just a minute. So we started with collection API. So, yeah, as I told you people, collection API is used to handle a group of objects, a collection of objects. Yes. So this API, is very specialized to help us to work with a collection of objects, a group of objects, I can say. Yes. So let me just start this Eclipse ID. Okay. So you see, uh, in the collection API, as I told you people, we got collection classes, right? So each collection class, so it implements a data structure. It implements a data structure. So data structure, as I told you people, it defines or it specifies how exactly you want to store the elements into the how exactly you want to store the elements in the memory. Yes. How the elements have to be organized in the memory. That is what is specified through the collections. Sorry, is specified by the data structure. Yes. So, like you say, we got this collection classes like array list, and we saw linked list also. So each collection class, as I told you people, it implements a particular data structure. It implements a particular data structure. So now this array list class, collection class, it implements list data structure. That means internally the elements are stored into a list data structure here. So how we are adding the elements through the add method. So add method is defined here in the collection class, so which we use to add the elements to the list data structure. Yes. Okay, fine. So now how many elements can we add to this collection object? So there is no such limit. Okay. You can add any number of elements here. See, the size is not a limitation in this case. So today I'm going to explain the other differences also between this collection classes which you got here and the arrays. Okay, now here, for suppose I want to count the number of elements which you got in the collection. I want to count the number of elements which you got in the collection. So we can use size method here. Okay, we got size method. So names dot size. Call this method size. That's it. Okay. Size method. What it does, it will count the number of elements. So it will return 3 here. You see, count 3. That's it. Is there any such method in the arrays to count the number of elements? Is there any such method in the arrays to count the number of elements? No, in the arrays. Is there any method in the array to count the number of elements? Uh, Length is not a method actually, it's a property. And for your information, it will only just, it only returns the size, initial size. Okay, while creating the array, the size which you have specified, that size will be returned. That's it. It returns the size. Okay, yes. Length is initially what you specified while creating the array. How many elements you want to store, that will specify, right? You'll get that length, but not the count of elements. Have you ever noticed it? You know that it won't return the count. How many elements you got in that array, it won't return it. The property, its length is a property. You may create an array of size 10, but you may add only 5 elements. So if you use length property, it will return 10. Okay, it returns 10, not 5. Though you have added 5 elements, but still it returns 10. Yes, fine. Now, hope everyone got it. Okay. Now again, is there any method? Is there any such predefined method here to search an element? Is there any such method to search an element? Actually, there is no such method. Okay. But in the collection API, we got a method to search an element. Okay. Yes. We got contains method. Let's say I'll pass Raj. Okay. So contains method, what it does? So you see, you to the contains method we are passing that element Raj. That means we want to search that element. We want this contains method to search. So now if it will search for that element in the collection. So if it finds it, it returns true. Otherwise it returns false. Okay. If it is able to find that element, it returns true. Otherwise it returns false. Yes. So now in this case it returns true. Okay. It returns true. Now how it will search for the element, what do people think? How it will search for the element? I mean, how it is going to compare this given element with that elements in the collection? Yes, that's right. So basically it uses equals method. Okay. So now this elements of what type? This elements of what type here? String type, right? String type means, I mean to say, they're string class objects. So now it uses equals method. You know that equals method in the string class is overridden. Equals method in the string class is overridden. Yes. So it uses that equals method. If it is not even overridden, then the equals method also still you got it in the object class, right? So that object class equals method will be used. Yes. Object class equals method will compare the contents based on the reference. You know, the object class equals method functionality is the same as double equal to operator, relation operator double equal to, right? Yes. Okay. You know, this way you will find that in the collection classes we got methods. In the collection classes we got methods. The collection class methods will help you people to manage this collection of objects or collection of elements, I can say. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about those methods. Okay, I'm going to talk about that methods. First of all, you have to understand one thing. You'll find that these methods which you are talking about, they are defined in all the collection classes. They are defined in all the collection classes. In all the collection classes, we got those methods. Okay. Yes. Okay. So for example, if you use linker list, even in the linker list, you'll find these methods. They're handy methods, right? Not just these three methods. Okay. Now you see, I've changed the collection class name from array list to the linker list. Okay. Now you see, even in the linker list, we have these methods. We are able to use this add method, contains method. We'll be able to use size method. Yes. So these methods, they're defined in all the collection classes. So, you know, we got an interface in the collection API. It is called as a collection interface itself. There is an interface, collection interface. You'll find that each and every collection class, it implements this interface. Okay, you people are familiar with the concept of interfaces, right? Yes. So why do we use interface? Could you please recollect once? Now this is important. This is one of the applications of interfaces, I can say. Okay. So here I can demonstrate the application of interface. Yes. Yes. So why do we use interface actually? Okay, very good. To specify a contract, okay, to define contract, what a class can do. Yes, yes, you see, that's right. Yes, to specify the operations. Now, this collection interface which you got here, yes, it specifies the contract, or I can say, yes, it defines the set of methods the collection classes have to implement. Okay, yes, it defines what methods the collection interface defines, what methods the collection interface is supposed to implement. Sorry, the collection class is supposed to implement. What methods a collection class is supposed to implement. What methods the collection class is supposed to implement. that is specified by the collection interface. Yes, I can say that collection interface, it defines, in the collection interface you got the methods which represent the most common operations which we perform on the collections. What are the most common operations which are performed on the collections? You know, that is actually specified by this collection interface. Okay, so now it defines the contract for the collection classes. What methods the collection classes are supposed to implement? What methods the collection classes are supposed to implement? Yes. Let's see what methods the collection class has to implement here. So you'll find that your in the collection interface you have this methods defined, and collection interface is an util package. Just a minute, for some reason Java P is not working. Java P is not recognized. Okay, just a minute. Okay, just a minute. So path to bin directory is missing here. Just a minute. Util dot collection. Okay. Yes. You see, the collection interface, it is in the util package, and it is the root interface of all the collection classes, I can say. This is actually considered as the root interface of all the collection classes here. Okay. Yes. So each and every collection class, it implements this interface. So each and every collection class implements this interface. Yes. So the methods which you're looking at here, I can say that these methods, they are the most common methods which are implemented by all the collection classes. They are the most common methods, and these are the methods which are supposed to be implemented by all the collection classes. This is the contract for the collection classes. Any collection class, it has to implement these methods. For all the collection classes, they have to implement this methods which are defined in this interface. You see, just now we saw the size method. Okay, so size, we saw that it is used to count the number of elements in the collection. Size method is used to count the number of elements in the collection. Yes. Next, you got isEmpty. So isEmpty method is used to check whether the collection is empty. So isEmpty method, what it does is, so if you call this method on the collection, it will check whether the collection is empty. So if it finds that the collection is empty, it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. So when we can say the collection is empty, if there are no elements in the collection. Okay, if there are no elements in the collection, then the collection is empty. Yes. So you see, it returns a boolean value. Is empty. Okay. So next, let me show you people if you want. As of now, isEmpty method, if I call this method, what do you people think what it returns? True or false? Is collection empty here? So it returns false in this case because the collection is not empty in this case, right? Collection is not empty. It returns false. Yeah, you see. Next, we got contains. Already we have discussed about it. So what is contains doing? It will search for an element. Okay. So contains method will search for an element. So if it finds that element, it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. And it uses equals method to compare the element, given element with the elements in the collection. So it is going to use equals method to compare the given element with the elements in the collection. Okay. Yes. Next, I'll talk about the iterator later on. We got two array method. Okay, so if you call two array method, what it does? What it does is it will read all the elements from the collection. It will read all the elements from the collection, and it will store them into an object array and returns that object array reference. Okay, yes, it returns that object array reference. So we can call this two array method. You see, the to array method returns an object array. So in that objects array, what you got? The elements. To array method, what it does internally, it will read the elements from the collection and it will store them into an object array. Okay, it creates an object array. It will store them into an object array and returns that object array reference. Okay. Now let's read the elements from that object array. Each element is a string, right? So we'll store that elements into a string variable itself again. Okay, so let me run this code. So hope you people got it. Now I have a question for you people here in this regard. Actually, you know why uh, the elements are stored into object array? We have what type of elements in the collection? String type, right? So if they are string types, if the elements are string type, so can't we store these elements into a string array? Why object array is used here? The elements are string type, so it would be better to store them into a string array, right? You got the question, all of you? Can I have yes or no? So why it is storing? I mean, why is it storing the elements into object array? So let me make you people understand. So why it uses object array here. Okay. So here you'll understand the importance of object array. Now, just imagine, think about the person. So he is actually defining this, who has to define this two array method. So now we didn't define it. Already it is defined in the API. Just if you think about it from that developer's perspective, who has defined this method? You know, while defining the method, will they know what type of elements have to be stored into the will be stored into the collection? The collection, what type of elements a collection can take? What do you think? Do you know what type of elements the collection will take? What type of elements? That means what type of objects we can store them as elements into this collection? Yes, we can actually store any type of elements. A collection object can take any type of elements. You see, as of now, we are storing string objects as elements, right? As of now, you see, what type of elements we are storing? String objects. But into this collection, you will be able to store any type of elements. That means the developer who is supposed to define this method, at that time they don't know what type of elements will be stored into the collection, right? They can be any type. Those elements can be any type. Yes, elements can be any type. So they have to define an array which can take any type of elements, because beforehand itself they don't know what type of elements will be stored into the collection, right? So that's the reason why you see object array is used, because beforehand itself it is difficult to specify, or it is difficult to understand what type of elements should be stored into the array. In that case, how will you declare the array? In that case, how will you declare the array? So you should be able to create an array which can take almost any type of elements. We need an array which can take any type of elements. So object array is apt for that. Object array is best for that. Yes. So hope you people got it. So is it clear for you people? Why object array is written by this to array method? Yes. Can I have yes or no? Okay. But the thing is, what if I want the elements to be stored into an appropriate array. You see, in this case, in our example, the collection object holds string elements. So I want that elements to be stored into a string array itself. I want those elements to be stored into a string array itself. What to do? So there is an option for us. Okay, we got an option for this. So what is that option? Let's see. So we got an overloaded to array method, but you have to pass the array to that method. You need to create that array explicitly. Let's say I'll create a string array. You see how I'm specifying the size? We are reading the collection size. Okay, we'll create the array with the size, and then we'll pass this array to the toArray method. Okay, yes, names dot toArray, pass that array reference str. That newly created array reference, you'll pass it here. Now toArray method, you know what it does? So it will take that array reference, string array reference. It will read the elements from that collection. It will read the elements from the collection, and it will store them into the toArray method. It will store the elements into the toArray method here. Okay, yes. Sorry, it will store the elements into that string array. ToArray method will store the elements into that string array whose reference we have passed to the ToArray method. Okay, yes. Now let's read the elements. You see, you got the elements. So you see, we have created this string array, but we didn't add the elements to that string array, right? So who is adding the elements to that string array? Who is actually adding the elements to the string array? Who's adding the elements to the to the string array? ToArray method is doing it. Yes. Okay. ToArray method is doing it. Yes, that's right. Fine. So next, we got add method here. You see, already we have discussed about add method. You know that. So add method is used to add an element to the collection, right? Yeah, just a second please. Yeah, I'm sorry. So you see add method, it returns a boolean value. Have you noticed it? The return type of add method is boolean. So here the add method, if it is able to successfully add the element to the collection, it returns true. If it is able to successfully add the element to the collection, it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. Okay, that is how add method works. Next, we got remove method. Remove method is used to remove an element from the collection. So if you want to remove the element from the collection, you'll use remove method. Okay, yes. Okay. So for suppose here, let me do this. Names dot remove. Pass this element. So now what the remove method does, it will take that element and it will remove that element from the collection if it finds it. Okay, if that element is present in the collection, it will remove it. And if it is able to successfully remove the element, it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. If it is able to successfully remove the element, it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. Okay, yes. So in this case, it will be able to remove that element, right? It returns true. Yes. Next, we got contains all, but we'll talk about add all first here. Okay, add all. So add all method, what it does is It is used to add the elements of one collection to another collection. Yes, it is used to add the elements of one collection to another collection. So for suppose here, let's say I got one more collection object. Okay, we're creating another collection here. So names 2, let's say. The elements are this. Okay, now you see we got two collection objects here. In the first collection we got 3 elements. What about the second collection? How many elements we got in the second collection? 4. Yes. Now what I want to do is here, I want to add all the elements of the second collection to the first collection here. I want to add the elements of the second collection to the first collection. So what to do? So in that case, you see, you use the first collection object reference. So you want to add the elements to the first collection, right? Use the first collection object reference and call the add method and pass the second collection add all method. I'm sorry, call the add all method using the first collection object reference. So if you want to add the elements to the first collection, use that collection object reference to call the method. Okay, add all method, and then pass the second collection object reference here. Pass the second collection object reference. Yes. Okay. So here, now what happens? All the elements of the second collection will be added to the first collection. Now, what do you think? How many elements will have in the first collection? And have you noticed it? There are a few common elements as well. Now, what do you people think? How many elements we got in the first collection? So 7, but there are few common elements, right? See, Raj and Kumar are common between these two collections. Yes, that's right. Actually, the elements are the elements, though they are redundant, you know. Yeah, the list type collections can take duplicate values. Okay, list type collection will be able to take duplicate elements. Yes, list type can take duplicate elements here. Okay. Yes. So let me run this code. So before that, I'm sorry. So we'll read the elements. I'm sorry. I'm passing second collection object reference to that for each loop. Now let's run this code. Yeah. So hope this is clear for you people, right? Okay, good. So let's move on to the next method. So the all these methods will be handy for you people. You know, in future you'll find that always in the real-time applications also you'll be working with a handful of objects, a collection of objects always. So, so how to deal with them? So that you need to understand. Okay. Yes. So next we got removal method here. Okay. A removal method also we have to call it similarly the way we call the add-all method. Similarly, we'll call the removal method here on the collection. You see, so removal method, what it does is it will it will find out the common elements between these two collections. Removal method will search for the common elements between these two collections and it will delete them from the first collection only. Removal method, what it does, it will search for the common elements between these two collections, and if it finds any common elements between these two collections, so it will remove them from the first collection. The common elements will be removed from the first collection only. That means after calling removal method here, how many elements you'll have in the first collection? So in the first collection you'll have only one element, not three, because the common elements will be removed from the first collection, right? So what are the common elements between these two collections, first and second collection? Removal method also, you see, it operates on two elements, sorry, two collections here. Yes, you got it, all of you. Now you see, the first collection object reference we are using to call removal method, and the second collection object reference we are passing it to the removal method, right? Now the removal method will operate on the first collection, but what it does here, it will compare these two collections, first and second collection, and if there are any common elements, it will remove them from the first collection. Common elements between these two collections, not in a particular collection. Okay, so removal method will search for the common elements between these two collections. So if it finds any common elements between these two collections, then it will remove them only from the first collection here. It will remove them from the first collection. So you'll have only one element here in the first collection after calling removal method. You see? Fine. So I hope everyone got it. Next, we got retain all method here. Retain all. Retain all method, retain all method, what it does is, it is quite opposite to removal, I can say. Retain all method is quite opposite to removal. Yes. So retain all method, it will compare these two collections again. I can say it is just exactly opposite to removal. Now can you people guess what is the functionality of this retain all? It is exactly opposite to retain all. Sorry, removal. Retain all is exactly opposite to removal. Just imagine or guess what will be the functionality. Yeah, or you can say it only retains the common elements. In case of removal, what it is doing, it removes the common elements, right, from the first collection. So if there are any common elements between these two collections, those common elements will be removed from the first collection. Retain all, what it does is, if it finds any common elements between these two collections, so it will retain them in the first collection only. Okay, it will retain them in the first collection, and the other elements will be removed. Okay, so that means if I run this code, you'll get this answer, Raj and Kumar. So these are the common elements which are retained, so other elements are removed. Yes. Okay, next we got clear method. You know, clear method, it will remove all the elements from the collection by default. It will remove all the elements from the collection. It will make the collection empty, I can say. It makes the collection empty. Yes. It makes the collection empty. So it clears all the elements. That means it will remove all the elements. Which method? Clear method. You got contains all here. Contains all, it is little different from the other methods. You see, the contains all method, I'll show you people. You'll call the method this way. What it does is, it will check whether the second collection whose reference we are passing explicitly, okay, whichever collection object reference you are passing explicitly, it will check whether that collection is a subset of the first collection here, whose reference we are using to call the method. Okay, so it will check whether this collection whose reference you are passing explicitly is a subset of the first collection. So when can I say that a collection is a subset of another collection? How can we say that a collection is a subset of another collection? Yes. So if the elements of, yes, if all the elements of one collection are present in another collection, for suppose in this case, if I say the second collection is a subset of first collection, that means all the elements of the second collection will be present in the first collection. All the elements of the second collection should be present in the first collection. Then we can say that the second collection is a subset of first collection. Yeah, so hope you people got it. Yes. Okay, so in our example here, can I say that the second collection is a subset of first collection? Can I say that the second collection is a subset of first collection? No, it is not. So here the contains all method will return false. If the second collection is not a subset of first collection, so it returns false. That's it. Okay. You know this methods remove if, splitterator, stream, parallel stream. So they have been added in Java 8, which is recently released. Okay. So we'll talk about this methods in the next class. Then again, and one more thing, we got iterator. So we need to talk about this method as well. Okay. Remove if, splitterator, stream, parallel stream. They are added in Java 8. Okay. Yes. So I'll stop it here today. Okay. So let's meet tomorrow. Tomorrow, as usual, we'll be having a long session. Okay. So we'll continue discussion tomorrow. So tomorrow we got the class at same time. Okay. Thank you all. Bye bye.